Okay, so let's look at the second popular style. Again, a lead wrist kind of flex kind of deal, but this time with an open face. You know, players who do this are Morikawa, Rahm, Schauffele. You know, they kind of get quite a weak palmy grip, and even though they've got the wrist flexed, the face is like this. And that's kind of a better way to do it, really, because you're not going to react to the face as much. So how does that work? Well, it requires a few less compensation than the previous one, but than the lead wrist flexed and closed club face, but it's still got some of the same similarities, just not as extreme, really. So, you know, obviously palmy grip, club face gets open, even though the wrist is quite flexed here. And now from here, with all of those guys, they track the hands into a slightly steeper position because they've got to get the swing direction going left. From here, you cannot get the swing direction going right. So there's a slight steepening of the arm plane. There's a slight steepening of the hand track. And then they start to spin again, excessively left, getting really forward, really open, getting into the high range of rotation, the high range of side bend. And again, hitting a little predictable fade. Makes it a little bit easier to launch the club because the face is a little more open. You know, if you look at someone like Rahm, he gets the lead wrist like this with the face like that, and then on the way down it actually extends the wrist slightly. So there is a lot of nuances within that style, but a more neutral open club face style with that flex wrist is a little bit easier to do. And as soon as you start getting that kind of toe hanging a little more with the driver in particular, it definitely makes it easier to match it up. You don't have to hold on to it quite as much, etc. And they all hit little predictable fades. So that one might suit you. I don't know, you do some experiments. It requires a little bit less athleticism than the DJ one, but it's still a tough style to copy, because once you hold it in the palm, you basically immobilize the wrist to some extent and make it very difficult to get the wrist to hinge and do all the things that it should do. And a lot of people, when they try and flex the wrist early, they start taking the club in this way, and then they kind of have to lift and raise it and alter the position of it. So be very careful with any flex wrist style. It's not as easy as you think. And I've seen quite a few players who, when they get the wrist flexed, despite whatever the face is doing, they end up actually getting an extension as they hit it, particularly the closed face players, because the face is so close and the lead wrist is so extended. They're not going to get the ball in the air, it's going to go left. So they go like that and get it in extension, despite the fact that it was in flexion at the top. Again, reacting rather than matching up. So be careful of those flex wrist styles. Again, they're a lot more sophisticated than you think. You have to have a left swing direction, you have to have a left path, and you have to be physically capable of shifting and rotating outside the range of normal players to get that club to square up and to create that predictable little fade.